up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse. Crazy if you think you're crazier than us. This is the state of the game. Thank you for being here every week. Oh, I am your host, and I was the only one in the superlative category of most unique, who wasn't there because of how I dressed. There because of my brain. Uh, and everybody knew it. So thank you for joining me, giving me a place to put my brain every week. My co-host voted most likely to keep loving the Power Rangers. K Diggy, thank
To
you.
this day.
To
To
this
this
day,
day.
don't say nothing about the Black Ranger to me.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for surviving Boston traffic. Uh, Kay and I recently went to see Vince Staples and Baby Rose live, and it was fucking cool to hang out with my friend again. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's like, did you see that fucking video? There's a video of Burt Kirschner talking about him and Joe Rogan used to be friends before they podcasted, and he's like, we haven't talked off podcast in years because whenever we're around, we're like, oh, we should record this, and they don't have a real friendship anymore and all that. And I'm like, God, I'm glad I don't do that. I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a great time.
Yeah, so thank you for not being Joe Rogan, I guess is my point. Um, we
I
we
mean,
have a guest today who is one of the best at all the things. Like when I booked Cavalier, I said to everybody, I was like, and this is random people on the street crossing guards. I was like, I booked the perfect MC. I can't believe it. I'm talking to the perfect MC, somebody who does everything. Elucid's in that bucket, and there's not a lot of people in that bucket. And so Elucid has dropped an album that Kay is in a very special place to me. It's one of those albums that back in the day we would have called a cult classic album. One of those albums that we traded with one another to make sure that our friends had heard that shit. You know? Oh, you like Prince? Have you heard Come? You need to hear Come. You know? It would have, and Revelator is in that class of prepare yourself. It's coming. Cult classic. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Yo, man, thank you. Thank you for listening to it. Happy to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and first things first, I think, because I'm part of every Discord, Elucid. I'm part of the Real Notes Discord. I'm part of the RMPP Discord, the all the Discords, right? My Discord, the Call Out Culture Discord. Uh, and so I got to watch Elucid fans digest Revelate
Mm,
social. Um, and I think you have some of the best fans I've encountered.
I think so too, man. I think so too.
They were they were basically like, I'm still confused, but I'm less confused than yesterday. And here's what I learned. And they were just like, they were checking in with it like they were trying to beat a video game. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that
I mean,
takes
it's like
patience.
that's one of the best things you could ask, like for someone, put something in the world and then have people like repeatedly go back and check it again, test it again, listen again, play it again. Like that attention, that means so, so much, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just not everybody has it, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, Kay and I were talking about this on the way to Boston of like, there's just a lot of artists who you're like, oh, what happened to that person? Because they made millions off of streams, but they
Mhm.
never had a base of people who would do more than a stream for them.
Yeah,
And
it's like a privilege in a way. You know, I've been making music for so long, and just sort of amass this group of listeners and fans. And like it's funny because like I mean maybe it hasn't happened since Bessie. Because on this album it kind of cycled back. But I feel like even up towards Bessie, every record that I would put out, whether it was solo record or group record, people would be like, "Yeah, this is cool, but you did your best record in 2010. Yeah, this was cool, but your best record was in like 2008."
Right.
But like, so it's like they're saying my shit was not like up to par, like their favorite. It wasn't their favorite.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
For every fan that said that, I got new fans. And they were able to grow with me from the point where they caught me. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
And it's funny when I put out Revelator, we were in LA, like the day it came out, and there was this kid named John Black. John Black has been a fan and like a listener since Smash and Grab, like one of the first things I put up online.
Yep.
He just happened to be in LA and he came out to the show and he was like, he was like, yo, I heard the record. It's just crazy. Yo, it sounds like Sub Bass Diet to me. It sounds like maybe like Police and Thieves. And I was just like, yeah, no one ever says that. No one ever says the new stuff sounds like the old stuff. And I was like, this is interesting,
I'll
Full
tell you.
circle moment in a way.
And that was the thing. Like when I was working my way through, because like and I was not deep in this game, right? I heard Armand Hammer because of Samurai Banana and Uncommon NASA's podcast, the
Word.
Dope Shit podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and they played Rome, and I was like, holy shit, I need that, right? And so I got into it, and I was discovering it, and I was like, Billy Woods and his friend, right? And I didn't know much. And Zilla was like, listen to Sub Bass Die. And I was like, all right. So I started listening to Sub Bass Diet, Police and Thieves. And I was like, oh shit. Like, this is somebody hungry for new things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
always onto that. So it really put everything together. Anybody who really hasn't gone before Save Yourself, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Mm.
It adds context. Um, yeah. But it's yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate what you've done here. And yeah, this is like you were talking about it online. You were talking about how this is you wanted this to be not necessarily super palatable, super digestible. You wanted this to be something beyond the numbers.
Mm.
Am I summing that up right?
Yeah, in a way, because that, it wasn't like a conscious effort to like kind of go against the grain. Really, I feel like in making things like the first thing is like challenging myself. It's not really thinking about anybody else but myself. Like the art is like a very selfish practice. It's not like I'm going in there and it's like, yo, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna like confuse him. I'm gonna make you listen 50 times. Like I'm really just trying to like work this shit out in my brain. Like what y'all hearing is just my brain. This is like my interest. This is my life. It's all about me, y'all.
Mhm.
It's all about me. And yeah, it's not about the listener at that point as I'm creating. It's about whatever I'm trying to like get out of myself, Like a lot of writing sometimes is trying to make sense of shit for myself, whether sense of like my life or sense of like the outside world. It's not really about anything else, but those two things, if I had to put it broadly. So yeah, I guess like when you're trying to tell the truth about yourself, I don't know if that's ever like mainstream. I don't know if that's ever like the pop route or the easy way out or the palatable way. Sometimes it's not. Maybe sometimes it is, I'm sure many great songs were written just someone telling their story, telling their
Mhm.
true story. I'm sure many, many hits have been written about that. But, I also like I'll be looking for sounds like in complementary to like the lyrics. I'll be looking for sound that's like, I don't know, that just like speaks to me personally. So again, it's about me and my taste.
Yeah.
Everybody's not gonna feel that. Everybody's not gonna feel that. Like the sounds that move me, they might sound annoying as fuck to you, you
Right.
know? And that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, it's about just like really expressing how I felt about the thing. And you know, if it comes across that way, like it does. But I just felt like being on Fat Possum, it's like a wider reach for an artist. So it's like if I'm gonna do a record, like I might as well like I just felt like I ain't had nothing to lose. Let me just make the record that I want to make and then they'll just put it out. You know what
It's
I'm saying? And not really like worry about other things that I wouldn't have to, you know?
it's funny because it reminds me what you just said. It reminds me of like I saw this documentary about George Carlin, and they had like this excerpt of a stand-up show where he's like, tonight basically I'm going to be working some shit out. Like I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Hmm.
And as far as I know, like you guys came here to see me. I didn't come here to see y'all. So I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then you guys can take it however you want.
That's hilarious, man. I've never heard him say that, but yeah, I should probably go deeper into my little Carlin bag. But that, I feel that. I feel that sentiment for real.
And
And
that's
then
the
there's a sense of freedom because, there's a lot of artists when they're going to the venue, they're going there for the audience. So you have to go by their whims. But if
Yeah.
you're just going to the venue for yourself and people happen to watch what you're doing, then it's liberating.
Yeah. That's true. I feel that. I feel
and the
that.
wild part, Kay, about the Carlin thing. Carlin used to be a very kind of hokey, fun time, G-rated comedian,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and he made that switch. He has a stand-up album that's like half that comedian, goofy observation comedian, half hardcore Carlin that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
He made that switch because Richard Pryor pulled him aside and was like, "Dump it, man. Do you like?"
Wow.
And the funny thing is, Richard Pryor made that switch in his career because when he was younger, people said he was just Cosby. That he was doing Cosby.
Mm.
And Lenny Bruce pulled him aside and was like, drop that shit, be you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a whole lineage of
Yeah.
you stand in front of that audience and you perform to them. And then you get to the point where you're like, no, I'm coming up here for me and I'll freak it for them,
Yeah.
or I'll take the hit, but it's starting here.
I
Mm-hmm.
love that. Yeah, it's telling that truth, your own story, your own truth, and we all have our own. And like sometimes the hardest part for somebody who like makes anything, whether it's art or like whatever you do, like is actually telling your truth, like for real, being that vulnerable, being in front of people, just willing to accept the judgment, the hate, the rocks, the flowers, whatever. That might be the hardest thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, I there was a moment you came on here for I Told Bessie, and it was an incredible moment for us. And you say the moment that sticks with me the most is we asked you about these lines, these kind of standout lines, and you were like, I was chewing on a churchman. That's what was going on. And I was
Yeah.
like, fuck. That's when I was like, oh, he's just telling the truth,
Yeah.
but in a cool ass way. He's
Yeah,
not.
sometimes, yeah, it's funny. Like sometimes, like I've been watching some of the commentary on the record from like social media or whatever. Um, and a song like Hush Puppies on the record, right? Like it's must find fried fish, must find fried. And I feel like I've read like a couple people's like interpretation as like, I don't know, they use words that just like don't belong. Like I feel like I read like paranoid or like I don't know, just like words that's not what I'm saying. Like literally what I'm saying is must find fried fish. It's Friday. It's just a memory, just like recalling like hanging out with my grandparents, them frying fish, them making lemonade. We're watching Jeopardy. You hear that Jeopardy, well, you may not be able to tell, but that's like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune sounds in there, just like reversed and like blown out with effects. And this the stuff we used to watch. I just put the sound effects in the beat and like it's just an evening with the Smith family in Amityville, Long Island, eating really good fried fish, hush puppies, coleslaw, and lemonade. You know what I'm saying? It's not like anything else. It's just a memory, you know? And
Yeah.
sometimes like I feel like people hear the music that I make and they feel like they have to overthink it. And it's like
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're inferring ambiance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're inferring
It's
ambiance.
projection.
Yeah, because
Right there, right,
how
exactly.
dark other parts of the record are,
Hmm.
they want that to carry over and carry through. And yeah,
Yeah, I don't, yeah, it's an interesting sort of a thing where they kind of want the darkness to like rule everything. And to be
yeah,
like, huh, why is that? Why is that? You know?
yeah. They think sometimes people are like the mood is the message,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
the mood is a wait, the ketchup is not the meal; it's on top of the meal, right?
right,
Um,
right.
so I had two reactions to Hush Puppies. My first reaction was, "Holy fuck, this is a vocal warm up exercise."
Kinda. Yeah,
Like
kinda.
I was like, "Holy shit, he made his vocal warm up exercise into this song." And what I thought of, I don't know. I'm a Fiona Apple nut. I'm like a
Hmm.
big Fiona Apple person. And the Idler Wheel has this last song called Hot Knife, which is very similarly like, an interesting phrase, kind of that is silly, kind of flipped over and over again.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful way to end the record because it's a heavy ass record about heartbreak, and it's her being like, sometimes I laugh and I'm silly, so oh
Right.
well. Um, and Joni Mitchell did that on a few times. Like, there's a history to that. And so I was like, oh shit, this fits in there, like for me,
Hmm.
you know.
I
Um,
haven't heard those two examples, but I feel that sentiment. You know, that's if if I'm telling the truth, right?
yep,
And
yep,
as I feel in that time period that I made that record, like no, it wasn't all dark and oppressive. And yes, there were good times and there's smiles and there's like a lot of reflections like on the record where I'm talking about like my family or I'm talking about that memory or this memory. It's not always things don't always have to be dug so deep into, and projected and then dug into. It's like sometimes it's exactly what I'm saying. You know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I would say so. My first Dan theory that I'd like to kick here, um, is there's a lot of words that are used to describe you,
Hmm.
right? Um, there's a lot of um, yeah, a lot of things there, and I would say that I would recommend a new word be added to it. It's usually experimental, gets added, relentless, all that stuff. I wish your music was described as passionate.
Hmm. That's in there
Mhm.
for sure. That
Uh,
is in there.
I'm glad. I think you make passionate music.
Hmm.
You know, in Bad Pollen when you're, walking with your holding your children's hand against the wind.
Hmm.
Like that's a passionate image.
Hmm.
You know.
There's a couple more in that song, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah.
that verse. I that the first verse on that might be my favorite of the album.
Mhm.
That's just an incredible piece of work.
Thanks, man. I really love that song.
Yep,
And if you ever catch me out live, me and Woods are gonna get that together so we can do it on stage for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. The yeah. So and oh, and the other thing that I wanted to thank you for, this album made me understand Bessie more.
Mm. How so?
When Bessie came out, I was confused by it. Like I was like, this is there's strange parts here, right? Like Impasse is not a traditional like badass rap song, but Smile Line certainly is, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I was like, what is the flow of this? I couldn't hook into it. Obviously spelling's amazing. Like there was still I loved lots of it. I couldn't find the flow of it.
Hmm.
And then hearing Revelator for the first time, I was like, that makes sense. It was leading here.
Mm.
That makes sense.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I feel like Bessie was one of those records. It's like, sometimes you start creative projects and you have this idea of like where it could go. And with the record like Bessie, it was so far away from what I had thought it would be. And that's because life happened and life got confusing, life got messy. And then you hear songs like Impasse and you hear like songs like Spelling. And like also in kind of like making music, like, or when I'm making music, it's happened to me a few times where I'm like making a song, I write a song, I record the song, I like the song, but if you ask me the day recorded it, what the song's about, I might not be able to tell you. But then in 6 months, I'd be able to tell you something. And then 6 months later, I'll be able to tell you like another kind of jewel that I just learned for myself about something that I wrote a year ago. It's almost like sometimes you're able to like leave messages for your future self while you're in the present. That's happened to me in a couple of times where I learn from my own songs as people kind of like vibe out with them for themselves, but it's also for me as well. Just like, oh shit, like this is like the kind of medicine I need as I like get through like conflicts and situations in my own life. You know what I'm saying? Songs that kind of like portray me at like this, I don't know, this better projection of who I am in the present, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it helps me. It's helped me in the past. But yeah, Bessie was like I would say an introspective sort of a record, like a moody, vibey, very personal, emo, sad boy vibe element going on. And Revelator was more of like frustration, and it was more of like a extroverted sort of a thing. And I think that's probably most reflected in the beats and in the production and just like yeah, it was more like a lashing out, I think, Revelator is compared to
Yeah,
Bessie.
no, that makes sense. The lashing out versus yeah. No, I like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like no, because with Bessie, the other thing that was like the reaction of Bessie was surprising for me. Like it was because I think in the moment there were a lot of people like me who were like, I don't know if this is my favorite, but as the months passed by,
Hmm.
like what you said hooked very deeply into people.
Yeah, for sure.
A
Like
double
I
portion of
I saw that.
protection, like was I mean, it meant something to people,
Yeah,
you know?
I
Um,
saw that. I saw that from this side. Um, I mean, it was the most for shout out to Backwoods. We put that record out. It was the most records that I had been pressed of my music, and it was gone.
yep.
Those like I don't know how many thousands of records, like all those were gone. So yeah, I saw that people were definitely connecting with that record.
And I think and Revelator has those same kind of things where like I used to call them chants because they reminded me of kind of when Kendrick would chant. Uh,
Yeah, I still
but
call them chants.
it's they're like mantras
Hmm.
at this point. Like it's beyond chants. These are things that im- are very important uh, to you. And what was there was a point because they don't really fit. Sometimes they don't really fit neatly into maybe a traditional song structure.
Mm.
Um, and it's just different. The
It's like I feel like I've been rapping for a long time. So when I think about like song structure, when I first started rapping, I was rapping real fucking fast. I was started rapping so fast. I had all the words to say and I did not like choruses. I did not appreciate that shit. Even though I was raised on shit like Michael Jackson, right? Like the
Yep.
most pop music of pop music, but like in my like rap and my music, I was like, "Mm." So I feel like just at a certain point, like wanting to like go into that world, but it always felt it was kind of corny. And then someone like Doom comes along and then like Doom reinforced it. It was like it's kind of corny. Like Hooks is kind of whack, dog. Like he
Right.
never really used it. Um, but I feel um like as I continue to like grow in my music making abilities, I guess, I feel like at this point, like something like a chant or a mantra is really ill for me. Um, because it works as something that's like not to for people to get hooked into, but more like it's grounding myself. Like I think this is important in relation to the rest of the rhyme, and I feel like it's important enough that I'm going to say it 3 times. It's just a reminder for myself. It's also like a nice break from the constant stream of imagery that usually like kind of accompanies a verse, you know? Um,
Mm.
Right.
so just like continue to work that out, and yo, like people think it's a chorus. People think it's a chat. Like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I just love this tool that I've been able to like sort of develop, and I'm trying to just like shape it into my own thing, you know?
Yeah, you're following it, right? You're following it to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Not necessarily categorizing it and all that, which makes sense.
Or- So is that intentional or is that like a subconscious thing?
Um, I think it may, I'm not sure. Like at this point, it's definitely I'm conscious of it. I'm conscious
Okay.
of the fact that yeah, I had this ability, and if I come across, if I'm writing a rhyme, and I might come across a phrase, and I'll be like, damn, that sounds really ill against this beat. Like I can just spot when I think this could be ill repeated. I'm gonna repeat it, you know,
Mm.
um, because like I said, it grounds me in like what I've in the rhyme itself, and like what I think is important enough to repeat. But it also kind of like it opens up another. It opens up the rhyme itself. It's like it's a whole new door that I could go into just
Uh,
based off this repetition because of the flow or just this one particular image. It just opens up another door for me to go into for the next verse, you know?
Mm.
yeah, no, it's was trying to
That's it.
that's yeah, to ground us in an example, Kay, there's a part at the very end of CCTV with Creature, right? Creature has a dope verse and it's all power to oppressed people and
Red light on the virtue signal for the come latelys.
yep,
Escalate since we done waiting.
take
Take
freedom.
freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
And just over the drum itself, it just sounded really good. It felt really good. And
And
then if it when I it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. It's less of head and it's just more like a spirit and a body thing. I just want to say it again. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yep,
grew up also listening to gospel music. You listen to gospel, they say the same thing 1,000 fucking times in a hymn. You know
Mhm.
right,
what because it feels good.
right.
So like I really love that about music. You know what I mean? Like you can do it.
Yeah, no, and that's there was
Excuse
somebody
me.
online was saying like Elucid's grown so much as a writer over his career, and I think I responded and said, no, Elucid's always been an incredible writer. To me, he's grown the most in his delivery. Like
Mhm.
so, because at this point, you have more in common with Karen O than Willie the Kid, delivery wise.
Yo, Maps is a great song. Maps is such a good song.
You're like a lead singer at this, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have lead singer. That's like that CCTV moment. Like that's not exactly an ad lib. It's more than an ad lib, but it's not exactly a full vert. It doesn't
Mhm.
fit neatly into what we think of as conventional rap, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and Revelator succeeds because of that, I think. Like because you blur the lines, go outside the lines, come back in the lines. Um, you have more wiggle room to get across what you want to get across.
Yeah. I appreciate that. You know, a lot of that this record is like mm, respect for tradition, but also like allowing some blurring of lines of like traditions and not being so static in like and set in how I used to do things. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm older than many rappers, but I don't want to be the old rapper who only does things this one way, and everybody knows the way that I'm gonna do it before I do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm.
Um, that's definitely a conscious thing, but it's also just like me in regular life. Like you mentioned, passionate and like just this style eating, this world eating that I'm doing with regards to music. Like I've always had this sort of like
Right.
just a hunger for like new shit. Like what's the next new shit bubbling? Where is it at? What's going on? Like yeah, that's it's just this sort of like restlessness about like interests and curiosities about things. So I
So
think that breaks through.
was there any like piece of art or any moment that kind of sparked served as the spark for this project?
Oh, there were a few, man. There were a few. The first was Miles Davis, Rated X. Crazy fucking song. Maybe like 12 minutes long. It's from 1972, maybe. Yeah, Miles Davis doesn't even play the trumpet on. He playing the organ. It's fucking insane.
Oh,
Also maybe like 9 Inch Nails, March of the War Pigs. That video on YouTube is pretty ill. It's on like the what record is nice? It's the Closer album, maybe. Yeah, I think it's that record. Maybe Closer is the name of the song, but it's old 9 Inch Nails album. The energy of that song with that live drummer, and just the energy like Trent Reznor was giving off was like, yeah, I want to do stuff. I want to do some shit like that. I want to create these sorts of feelings.
mm.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And that's why, like, yeah, there was somebody who was like talking about the album, was like, I love Revelator. I hope he builds on it, does more in this world. I'm like, he won't. This is I was like, Elucid is the Stooges, and nothing will ever be the same as the one before.
You know, it's one of those things. It's like yeah, I definitely like to challenge myself and do new things. But it's also like I feel like it's nice to be grounded and like maybe for the next record, maybe I will work with John Nellen again. There'll just be another twist somewhere else in the record. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Using what I have available, um, using these same tools, but like flipped in a different way. Who knows?
Right. Lasso was on this record, and you did a
Yeah,
full album with them. Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. Um,
Oh
the
man,
other
peace
thing,
to the lasso.
yeah, the Lasso. Oh man, great guest. Shout out
Hmm.
to the Lasso. We loved having the Lasso on. The 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 other thing I was going to say, if I could have you teach a class, a rap class somewhere, right? Get you in that Lupe mode, right? Um, I would have it be a class on writing for impact.
Mm.
I feel like you have an incredible way of song stealing by writing with impact,
Hmm.
writing things that constantly surprise your audience.
Mm.
Um, how the is that a natural thing? Were you always doing that, or did you
I mean,
grow
you
up?
really gonna make me put on my backpack, my rapper backpack, and say, "Hell yeah!" Anytime I want a song with you, I think you should just beware because I'm coming. You know, it's just like I don't know. It's just like the era I came from. It just feels rap feels like as a whole, like as a community, like rap feels very nice. It's very nice.
Yep.
It's about
Yep.
like showing love, and that's cool. But I didn't come up in that. Like it was competitive. It was very competitive, and it was like very much about like I'm better than you, and like I don't think that ever died in me.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I'm swinging for the fences every time, and if I did it on a good day, you're out of here. Like you're just out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm on one. But also it's like, Yeah, man, that's all. That's all. It's just like how I came up. It's just like that's the really the connection with me and Woods. It's competition. It's like who's doing the iller thing? Like who's flipping this flow and using words that we haven't or these crazy references or like the wildest beats or the ill chorus. Like who's got the it's about the competition. I think that's so healthy for rappers to have a writing partner or a person that you make music with or that you collaborate with, a group of people that you actually like you want to get at them. They're
Hmm.
your friends and all, but you definitely want to get at them every time you have a chance to collab. It's not about like being gracious. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That's cool too, but yeah, the fire. You need that. You need that. You need the steel to sharpen steel.
And in the right
Yeah.
relationship, you can be gracious, give people their props,
Yeah.
and kill them next.
Yeah, man. You know, it's an intense spar. It's an intense spar, and I think that's really good for like the spirit of rap and just like collaboration in general.
Mhm.
You know, creative collaboration. It's really good.
Yeah. The the other thing I was gonna say, this is one of the most pronounced side A, side B experiences
Mm,
of the year to me. Um, because the first half is just raucous Trent Reznor, as you were saying, you know.
hmm
And then from In the Shadow of If onward, side B is such a shift.
hmm
Did was there a particular song that anchored side B for you? There was like, this is what we're doing on the second half, or what did it just end up that way?
I think it kind of ended up that way. I um I really trust I really trust Billy Wood's sequencing abilities. I just recorded all the songs. And he
Mm.
was like, I want to hear the songs. What are you doing? Like, I didn't tell him, I just sent him the songs when I was done. And we talk about the sequencing. And he was like, what do you think about this? And I was like, I kind of like this, but like, what about this? And I had my own kind of version. And then I forgot to give him a song like In the Shadow of If. That was not in my original like dump to him. So he made a sequence without that song. And in
Wow.
the end, yeah, and in the end, yeah, what you hear is the final version. But it just kind of made sense. I feel like the B-side starts with a shadow of it, if
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, it does.
mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It just felt like the perfect time to like dip into that song. Um, and as it happens, like the last three songs, what is that?
Oh man, I
Slow.
know it's the lasso one is the second to last,
Right.
and that's
Voice to skull,
Voice to Skull.
XOLO,
Yeah.
zigzag zig.
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Voice to Skull, Solo, and Zigzag Zig. They were like the last three songs to even be written and recorded. And it just kind of felt apt because The World is Dog was one of the first songs that was written and recorded. So I wanted to kind of keep that. I wanted to honor that. And yeah, that's as far as we thought about, you know, the difference between A side and B side.
Honoring the movement of the energy in a natural way. That
Yeah.
makes that makes sense. Um, yeah. So that's cool that Woods was involved like that to do that. Um, so you have talked previously about Revelator and about like be being close to your deadline and having to adjust to hit the deadline of the project. And I was thinking, I was like, man, sometimes deadlines are awesome. Like
Yeah.
they really light a fire and you end up doing cooler stuff than you wanted to originally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes you do sit there like, "Ah, if I had had another week, I could have
Yeah.
pulled this together." Where are you on that scale?
Mm, I think in the creative process, I'm not a very purposeful person. I like to I like to get in and just like be very relaxed and sprawl out, and I might listen to a loop beat for an hour, and I might write something and I might not. I might record a vocal and I might not. But
Mhm.
I'll come back and I'll do it again tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I like
Yeah.
to build that way. I'm just kind of like looking for that moment, right? Just like that sort of like spark of inspiration. But not aimlessly, just like in a practice, right? Like I'll do this every day until I find that spark. But I'm only gonna do it for like an hour.
Mhm.
And if I catch it in the hour, then I'll keep going because it's a moment, right? I'm trying to ride this wave. But I'm just gonna keep, so it's like it's leisurely versus like someone like Woods who's like way more intentional about things. When he's creating, I feel like he sets out to write a song, he has the title already. He has
Mhm.
the concept already. Like he's thought about what he wanted to write before he actually wrote a single rhyme. So he has those two things. And now it's just like making the words rhyme over the beat, you know? Um, that's fascinating, but that's not how my brain works.
Mm.
Yeah, you gotta follow how you do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, that's um so Kay, tell me, how did you feel going from Bessie to Revelator? How did you feel?
How did I feel? It's an interesting question. I thought there were, for me there were like sparks of joy. Like there were, it's funny because there are some of that sounds dark, like, or sounds heavy, but there's like light sprinkles. Like I think of the lines like there's a line where he goes, I'm I'm raising beautiful babies. I'm not raising N-words and
I make
It-
gorgeous babies, but I'm done
babies.
making N-word.
N-word. I thought that to me, that's like one of my favorite, that's one of the best things I've heard all year.
Yo, thank you, Kate. Because that, I mean, to me, that's funny. That is my brand of humor. You know what I'm
Hilarious.
saying?
Yes.
I'm glad you picked up on that. To me, that was, I actually laughed when I wrote that and recorded it.
Because
So,
it's just a brilliant line. And it was like sprinkled, it was just sprinkled, like it was just a random moment, you know what I mean? And then you went back to another theme.
mhm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There is a
And I
lot of
just felt like there were moments of that all over, like little, not to sound punny, but there are little flowers all over the album like that.
Dope.
yeah. I mean, voice to skull, I'm gonna get paid and start housing. Like there's like
Yeah.
all kinds of shit like that. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's to me the album I kept thinking about with Revelator was Maggot Brain
hmm hmm
by Funkadelic. I just thought,
That's, yeah.
you know, when you first hear Maggot Brain, you're like, holy shit, right? And that was like, if that's why like Revelator was surprising for some people, but for people like I remember Dash Lewis got the advance around the time I got the advance. And we were like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like
hmm
Dash loves weird shit, you know?
hmm
I love weird shit. So this is perfect. We were like, this is great. Um, we have that experience, you know?
Yeah.
And in our underground community, you could kind of make the case that there isn't enough weird shit.
Oh, absolutely. Easily. Easily, easily, easily. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of people making things. There's a lot of people making rap music.
Mhm.
A lot of people saying things. Um, yeah, I talk about this with Wood sometimes. It's like who's saying interesting stuff? Who's making interesting things? Like
I
a
mean,
lot of people can make things. You know what I mean? Like it's cool, but it's like, yeah, I think the goal is to make interesting things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and
Sometimes the
it's
lanes are too well defined, right?
mm,
They're like there's a whole 48 laws of power gun bar lane,
Yeah.
and there's the like, personal introspective digging into myself lane,
Hmm.
and there's like, and everybody's so far apart.
Yeah, it's like there's
Yeah,
not enough blurring.
yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like that shit is whack because that's not like our world. Like the world seems very blurry to me. There's a lot of like melt and meld and a lot of like areas of just life, like even outside of like music and shit. So it's like why are we still playing by these old rules? Why are we playing by conservative rap rules? Like I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like who are we trying to please? Because it's not like ourselves. You're not even being
Mm.
honest with yourself, I feel like. Well, then maybe some cats are. Some cats are actually just like that one way.
Right.
Um, and that's whatever you that's what that is. But
Yeah, but if you're
for me,
fitting into that peg and you're not that peg, that's a bummer. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, I think everyone should just like make music how they want to make music. And
Mm.
I think that yeah, man, how I do it is just me working out the shit in my brain. And it's a blessing that like people fuck with it in the way that they do. It's really a blessing that shit like people tap in, you know.
Did Let me ask. So Bessie was so highly acclaimed. Did you feel any pressure whatsoever with this album to kind of live up to the standard that you had created with the last project?
I feel like that's in my head.
Mm.
Yeah, that's in my head. Um, I don't know how much though. I don't
Mm.
know how much because I feel like I will also I block I block some shit out. Also, I think I'm kind of like maybe dumb or arrogant in a way where it's just like I don't even be paying attention to a lot of things. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like in my head and that's my world, you know? So it's like other people's opinions like sometimes don't really penetrate that way, you know?
Mm.
Like in this record
Yeah, because I think a lot of artists like
was
think they get
the
trapped by
thing.
those expectations and the standard. Like, they create
Like
something
it
and it's
wasn't made
great, huh?
took a week
What's up?
or 2 weeks before.
I think you're breaking up.
Wow. I
Hello?
Like I think uh, I think a lot of artists they get trapped by the reputation or expectations. So they never are able to create organically again because they're always like they create something and then they're always comparing it to their past work.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like it's probably even more difficult now because like we got social media. So like you're
Yeah.
in the hive, you seeing what people are saying. So it's
Mm.
like, that shit is not like the best for artists sometimes, you know? I
Yeah.
do remember like maybe before the album came, I was like super like I was petrol. I was like, yo, are people gonna like this shit? Are people gonna feel it? I started like second guessing the track listing. I started to say, and it was just like I don't know if that's like maybe one of the first times that really happened to me. You know, it's just like being really aware of like people are listening, people are waiting to judge. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So yeah, that shit is real.
Man, and that is the wildest shit too. That's one of the things I asked Woods first when I did a written interview back 2019 of like, you were doing this shit for you, you know, the way
Yeah.
you wanted, and now you're like going up levels in popularity, like, and you're everybody's favorite new artist when you've been
Yeah,
in
when
this.
no one was listening.
Right.
When I had a show in New Haven, Connecticut, and they canceled the show because no one bought a ticket. That was like, you know what I mean? It's different now. Like I hope that I would not be creating so much more different in the future, but you know, yeah, it's a new thing. It's a new thing to deal with.
Yep. No, that was what I was gonna ask. Kay does brilliantly let into it. Were there any songs that you were worried about specifically where you were like, I hope they feel this one. I'm not sure. This might be too much.
I was kind of feeling like the whole record, really. I was
Right.
feeling like the whole record. I was like, I could probably like go back and retool this whole record, or like, or maybe like I could change this mix, or maybe I would just like do this on the production here, or maybe I would change. It's just like super nitpicky about various songs on the record. And I'm glad that the record was already like in the pressing plan. There was nothing I could do about it. It was just this little battle in my head, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty common for like anybody creating something that you're gonna put into the world for people to like, judge or appreciate or whatever. Yeah, just second guessing yourself as real as an artist.
Were there any tricks or strategies that you use to kind of counteract those
Oh
type?
yeah, man. I just started talking to people around me.
Mhm.
I just talked to my wife. I talked to myself. I remembered like, well, damn, like you made this record and like when you recorded this thing, you thought it was fire. You
Right.
really like this, in the moment and that's the moment that matters most, right? Like when you're creating it, like how high were you? You know, I was high. I felt like this was the shit. That's why I submitted it. That's why like I was like, yo, I am done with this song. I'm done with this record. Like put it on vinyl
Yep.
for eternity. Everyone should hear this now. So like remembering that I felt that way, and that thing is like kind of talking myself off a bridge, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's one thing that I never understood with some writers to talk to, and they'll be like, "It's never done. You're always tinkering with it." I'm like, you have to find a definition of done.
Yeah,
You know, you just
yeah.
have. You're gonna kill yourself with this nervousness, tension, anxiety if you don't find a definition of done.
I think a lot of that is control.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is control. And I think within the way that I work, I like the idea of chance versus control. Like controls, I don't know, but even as I talked about like my process of like making music, like that's not I'm not, aside from like showing up consistently to do the work, there's not much control. I'm just trying to find this thing, you know? Um just being open to how shit unfolds before you.
Mm.
That's what I'm into.
Absolutely. Let me kick my wildest Dan theory for you.
Okay.
I'm excited about this.
Take
Um,
a sip. Take a sip of
oh, let's get
the
some augmented
applesauce
apple
drink.
juice. So, um, I was thinking about how you have, in my opinion, become more brazen in your experimentation and development, right? And I was like, you know what? 2020, Fatboy Sharif comes on the scene, right? Like
Hmm.
for everybody that that knows, right?
Hmm.
Um, Gandhi Loves Children takes by storm around Halloween. And then from then on, I was like, Elucid must have been sitting back going, "Oh, you like that shit? You like that shit? Okay." Because I've been wanting to do this shit. Like,
Yeah,
if
I saw that. I
if you
saw that.
guys are if there's a real audience that wants this,
I
then
knew that
let's
though.
go.
I knew that, but I don't know when it would click. I mean, that's why I was still doing it, right? Like I've been making music in this particular way for a long time. And like sure, I've changed and I've grown. But shit, man, when I saw Fatboy Sharif, I was a fan. Like
Mhm.
it was like I saw what he was doing and I saw some of myself in there. Not saying that he was biting me or anything like that. I don't think that he was, but it's just like I feel like I think we have a similar sort of like hunger, thirst for like these type of sounds that just turn us on. And
Mm.
in turn, like people feel that passion through us. And he's adventurous. Like I like that. I like that in MCs and like rap music makers, just creatives in general. Like he's adventurous. He's not like just settling. So yeah, I saw some things that I about myself and things that I like about like myself in Sharif, and like I knew I feel like this just people like that shit. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I just feel like people want that, and especially in like these times, like shit be dry sometimes. It feels like rap be dry sometimes. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of great rap music out, but yeah, I feel like sometimes it just feels dry, and yeah, we kind of need that wave.
There's certain people that never stop giving you new looks, right? Like Sifu, Quelle, and Sharif is in that order for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just fearless.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think all those cats have that. I think all
Yep.
those cats have that.
That makes sense. Yeah. The yeah, there's so many. Kay, what give me a run, your favorite runs on this. Woo!
I mean, I loved the to go back to like the middle part, the transition from side A to side B. I saw RFID
Hmm.
going in the instant transfer,
Mm,
Ikebana
yep.
in the shadow of if Skip, and then like that Hush Puppies coming out of nowhere.
Hmm.
Uh, was like really just really great. But I do love the transition, like in particular that RFID instant transfer, which was a great transition right into Ikebana.
Mm.
And I'm pronouncing that right?
Yes, you are.
Ikebana.
Hmm. You
Okay.
are.
Yeah. RFID is my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Fire.
I'm not sure if somebody was like, why? I'm not sure I could explain it. Like, it's just, it just makes sense. Like the
Mm.
fuzzy scratching, um, and that, you know, if it's war, I'm ready. I know, if it's love, I'm ready. Like it just makes sense. It's just like it's such a wonderful hip hop mantra, you
Yeah,
know?
it's one of those feeling songs. For me, it's like I feel like that song is like a total sensory song, especially when you like considering the production. Like it just feels really good to me. And I don't know, maybe it's just like for our type of brain, you know what I mean? Like we're
Yep.
just
Yep.
like the buzziness of that beat, like how harsh some of the sounds of like, but it's complement or like right next to like really sweet strings
Yep.
and like these hard ass drums and this overwhelming bass. And then the vocals are mixed kind of like tucked inside, so nothing's like pointing out, sticking out. It's kind of blunted, but kind of sharp at this. It's a for me like a total sensory thing that does things to my brain. When he goes by No Club, when they first sent that beat to me, like I knew I had to have it immediately. I wrote that song pretty quickly, just off that first spark of that beat. Yeah,
That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, and I think In the Shadow of If is one of the best written kind of story songs of the year. Like it's a real it's a real journey like
yeah,
through that situation and what you're dealing with and like and the what is it? Was he like Open Mike Eagle said killing the cop in your head? He had that whole do you remember he had that video with the when he had the new Negro show? Um about just kind of being black, walking around and like having a cop in your head talking
mhm,
shit to you.
yeah,
Um, that like that fear exists and it exists wherever you go. And you know, if you don't hang around black people, you don't know that.
yeah,
But man,
yeah.
and
That sort of like self-consciousness, this sort of self-consciousness, or
yeah,
like place consciousness of leaving New York City,
mhm,
really, and just being in a place where it's cool to fly truck flags and rock Punisher bumper stickers and FJB and Go Brandon and American flag overload, and it's just like for some people that's like pride and feels good, but yeah, I don't feel safe, especially as somebody with children. Like knowing those politics of what you're
Yeah.
talking about don't like regard my children as valuable in the coming world, and I got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I lived in a place in Long Island for a little while when I had my first child. Long Beach, specifically. That's where Doom was from. I lived in Long Beach for a few years. One of the most gorgeous places on earth, you
Love
know?
Long Beach so much.
Uh, New York, not
Oh,
Cali.
oh, Cali. Yep. Yeah, Cali.
Yeah. Nah, New York. I was Long Beach, New York.
Oh, Long Beach, New York. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, one of the most gorgeous places on earth. Um, nature wise, right? Like it's one of the most beautiful beaches to me in New York, maybe outside of Fire Island. It's gorgeous sunsets, beautiful homes. Um, and like with any, well, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's gorgeous. But it's also full of people that I would like maybe casually describe as like Republican surfers.
Ooh, okay.
And it's full of that vibe of just like Punisher stickers, back the blue, American flag, Trump is still my president. Like that sort of like very right-wing conservative vibe, like rocking out there amongst this like gorgeous nature. And like when I go upstate New York, it's that same vibe. When I leave New York and I'm in the mountains or somewhere Pennsylvania, it's a lot of that same vibe. And it's like, I mean, it's many places in this country. And it's just like, where can I go? Where can we go as like black folks and never have to be reminded of that shit? And it's hard to find, man. It's hard to find. Um, so
I
yeah.
want to talk. So this song, because this is such an interesting song because of, and I think Dan mentioned it before, and like the efficiency. Like you don't really waste words in that in any regard. Particularly with this song. This song is very efficient. Was there an editing process with this song, or did this all come out like how was this song written?
We're talking about In the Shadow of If.
In the Shadow of If, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things also. Like I vary from Woods. I feel like Woods is one of the first rappers that I met who actually goes back and like edits his rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not that studious with my rhyme, you know? So nah, it was kind of like written this in the moment of creation, right? Like I wrote it in a day, maybe a day and a half, but that was it. I don't believe I edited much of anything outside of like whatever I'm doing as I'm writing it, you know? It wasn't like I recorded and was like, let me go back and do it again, but nah, I didn't go back and do that. It's super rare that I would do that. But yeah, I am into the idea. I'm just trying to be a better writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about these things a lot. I think about like that economy of language. I think it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially for the style that I'm kind of using, where people may think it's cryptic or whatever, you know, there's super layers and maybe there isn't, but maybe there isn't. But if whatever, like I can't change how people like receive it, but what I can do is like change my language in ways that like convey the idea for me like as quickly as possible, as sharp as possible. And you know, you say like, you know, those one-liners or like uh yeah, efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about that shit. It's important. I think all the great writers like have mastered that sort of like economy of language. That's what Amiri Baraka called it. I think it's really interesting. I'm trying to get better.
Yep. No, but it's a tricky process, right? Your
Yeah.
editing process can't be like everyone else's because uh you're an impressionistic writer, you know? You are someone who is, you know, giving a scene, but you're smudging the colors, right?
Yeah.
Like you used Monet as an example on that I think it was Dad Bod Rap.
Oh, it was a dad bod joint. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
And
remember that, man.
you were talking about Monet and like that it's real, but it's how the image felt, not necessarily the exactness of it.
Yeah, that's a lot of like what I feel like I've been getting at for these past couple years. Uh, I just found freedom in exploring the feeling versus like the literal like display of like whatever. Like I'm really interested in conveying feeling and emotion and maybe I've the stuff has gone less away from like my brain works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's where I've been for a while. I've been kind of not stuck, but I've been working in this sort of this sort of place, dealing with feelings over everything. So
Yeah. So when you edit, like you can't edit the way everyone else does because you're not editing the blurred smudge away. You're editing around the blurred smudge to
I
make it.
might smudge it up some more.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smudge it out some more. It's already smudged. Fuck it up some more. Go ahead.
Yep. Yep.
You know?
That might be what you need to
Yeah,
make that point.
yeah,
So
yeah,
your editing process is going to have to live in a completely different space than everyone else's.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because people will end up kind of looking at you crazy because if you're doing it so different, but the math works, at the end
I
of
feel
the
like
day.
it's been that way for as long as I've been rapping. It's never been like
That's fair.
I was a part of the cool rapper club. That was never the case from day one, you know?
That's fantastic. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Kay, do you have more? I feel like I could.
No, I'm just reading because it's funny because I went back to Hush Puppies
Oh,
and
so
then I just read like ice water, green cup, TV in the kitchen, black and white, static sizzle with the grease in stereo, wide smiles, all teeth, belly laughs, 12 lemons in the pitcher. And it's just funny to me, like people thought that that could be about paranoia.
Yeah, or just some sort of dark themed
Right.
yeah,
imaginary thing. It's super crazy, you know? I
yeah.
feel like maybe people just don't listen and they just repeat what they might see online or some shit. I don't know, dog.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
they're learning a new language, right? So they're like, you know, they're using shit out of context,
So that
crazy.
that would tie into kind of my question. My final question would be like, if you had, like, we know that you have your fan base and you have the people who have been following you and listening to you for years. If you had to give tips or teach someone who hasn't listened to your music how to listen to your music, what would you say?
Mm.
Oh man. All well, I guess the first thing is repeated listening rewards. That's the first thing. But the second thing, I think it applies to like art and maybe life in general. Um, it's important to like listen without trying to listen and absorb or without like putting your opinion on it. It's okay to not have an opinion about something, right? Like it's cool to just like take it in and just like, well, shit, I really don't know how I feel about it. If you feel a way about it, then you should say so. But like, I feel like a lot of people do, we're very quick to like project and like have opinions about things very quickly. And I think maybe, yeah, we should not do that. We
Yep.
should not do that so much, so quick, you know?
Right, you're quick to map it. They're trying to map it, you
Yeah.
know?
It's kind of, there's an arrogance in that. There's
Mhm.
an arrogance in that like you are not really respecting what you're being encountered with. Because you're not fully listening. You're more like waiting for your chance to talk, or you're waiting for your chance to project, or you're waiting for your chance to interpret. So before the thing is done. Um, yeah, that's something I'm still trying to like figure out for myself, but that's something I've also been thinking about as like I'm dealing with new listeners or just listeners in general who say maybe sometimes wild shit.
Yeah. I mean, and like it's a story I told Kay a bunch, but like, R.I.P. Cod, it's all fresh. Um, the most confused I've ever been by a hip hop album was listening to the Dr. Yen Lo with Preservation
Really?
the first time.
Okay.
And I was like sat out in the backyard on my porch and I listened to it and I was like, I have listened to so much hip hop. I know so much about what's going on, and I
Hmm.
have no idea what the fuck is going on. I'm totally confused. And
Wait, what did Preservation do all the beats on that record?
yes, he did. Yep, yep.
Okay, 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 okay.
And I
I know which
like
one you're talking about.
I've never been more excited. Like I was so it was like being born again, right? You're like,
Mm.
holy shit, I know nothing. That's
That's a
awesome.
great feeling. That's a
Learn.
great feeling,
Yeah,
you know? But I don't know, maybe sometimes people don't feel that. Maybe some people don't feel like it's such a great feeling to not know and then be
yep,
brought into this place of knowing this, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I'm with you.
So yeah. So that's
Yeah, I'm still of the mind and I'm still making music, I guess, for myself, but also for the people that just want to get their wigs blown by
right.
art. Like that we still exist. I feel like it's like a segment of people that maybe have been forgotten in all this streaming number bullshit,
Right.
just sort of like everybody march to the same beat of the drum and do the same thing. Like we forget that like there are people that really just want to get knocked back by good songs, good music, good art, good film. And yeah, I'm on that side.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just a great album that will survive a lot of re-listening because it's got so much there. And yeah, we're gonna go to recommendation corner. We got some good stuff. Uh, I wanted to say, was I gonna recommend Kay? I don't know if I didn't tell you about it. Charisse, have you heard about Charisse?
No.
She has a new EP called Butter. She had an album called Calling in 2023.
No.
Um, and it's just like 10 songs. She has this awesome series, like throughout her albums, she has interludes with her mom where her and her mom are just talking shit to each other. And it's fucking great. It's so great. Um, but she's like UK singer, and she has a really dope cover of My Sharia more on this. Uh, that's like slowed down and really dope. Like just having the guts to cover My Sharia more is like that's
She's
something.
a singer.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
R&B. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. It's dope, but it's really
That's a tall order covering Stevie that way. Tall order.
Yeah.
yeah. Very few
Okay.
people would touch My Sharia more.
I will
She
peep
does it.
that. I will peep that.
Yeah, it's great. The other one, see number two, Demon Slayer by Lord Olo and Televangel. Televangel,
Nope.
one of my favorite producers in the world. Just so like yeah, and this album, I feel like it's a tribute to like the mixtape days, the cloud rap days when shit was just fucking fun. Um, Devil in the Backseat is fun as shit. Like it's a what did I say on Twitter? It was like it's a smart album. A lot of things are discussed, but it knocks like hell. So I love that shit, man. It's been a great year for Televangel. And Olo's so wild, and I've always enjoyed Olo stuff. Um, the third thing, Keith, I'm a good father, Keith.
All right.
My son is starting to learn rap music piece by piece. I gave him some
Okay,
summer
okay.
assignments to get up on it. He heard I played him, was it Big X the Plug from Texas? And there's a part of there where he was talking about, I'm from Texas, we got Beyonce, Trey the Truth and Devin the Dude. And I was like, you don't know who most of those people are. Um, So I played him some Devin the Dude. He was freaked out, didn't know what to do with that. Uh,
Okay.
and I played him, but I played him Trey the Truth. I played him Trey's Nipsey Hussle dedication because um he has an incredible song called Nipsey that is beautiful. They were friends. It's just a beautiful tribute. Um, and my son knows Nipsey because he knows the song dedication with
Mhm.
Kendrick. So I put the video on. He was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "I've played this for you before." It hit different, you know.
Yeah, it's a cool way to connect the dots for him. That's
He's
tight.
been he's been playing Nipsey uh, a lot. Yeah, it's coming up in the title. So my son is helping Trey the Truth make money, which is dope. I always love Trey the Truth. So that's what I'm shouting. And that album is called Exhale. That song is on. It's super dope. It's great. That yeah. So we yeah. What do you listen? What are you bumping? What do you listen to?
Oh man. Uh it's all over the place. It's all over the place. I mean, I recently like rediscovered a song that I used to listen to a lot back in the day because I heard that Tyler the Creator song
Oh yeah.
Mm.
and it was like oh, this production is really cool. But yeah, I had my hand in like sampling sort of like African psychedelic rock, Zambian rock, Zam rock, as they say. Like yeah, there was a song called Ankudi by this group, Petters.
Mhm.
Um, there's a song by the Mandala Brothers. What's the name of that fucking song? It's really wild. It's some cumbia shit. It's really wild. I've been listening to Cavs record.
Oh man.
I've been listening to Cavs record. Um, bunch of stuff, man. It's I of course, like as I'm talking about it, like I'm blanking on many things. I heard a Chance the Rapper song called Together, produced by DJ Premier. That shit
Yep.
is so good. I feel like people hate on Chance a lot.
Right.
And I don't know if it's with good merit or not, but that song is really good. It's called Together, Chance the Rapper, produced by DJ Premier. Just a banging ass record.
Maybe Chance is part of that group of rappers that are almost like morning people at a workplace.
What?
What like if you're tired, you're hungover at work, and all of a sudden the morning person comes up and they're chipper, and they're
Oh,
gonna
morning.
climb
Okay,
a
I thought you
mountain
meant
got you,
morning
later.
got
time.
You know
you.
what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Okay, okay.
oh, shut the fuck up, Cindy. Like that, I think that's what people do with Chance, but I don't think he hasn't done anything wrong. He's just,
Right. I
you
got
know,
you.
yeah,
I got you. I got you. Yeah, the positive guy.
yeah. Sometimes people get
Want to
annoyed by
hear that
that shit.
shit.
Like that, honestly, I think that happened with Logic too, right? Where people were like, you know, fuck you, go away. And he's like, hey, I like this. And people,
You can't, yeah.
I never liked that guy. Never liked.
I
I
mean,
do,
for me, I feel like there's two chances. Like I think of like
ooh, I like this.
there was a chance like you see on like he had a couple late show appearances
Mhm.
Mhm,
where he was just phenomenal.
Yep.
And
mhm.
then so you build your expectation up for that, and then you get the project that he got, and it's not what you were expecting. So hopefully
Yeah,
the next project that he releases kind of blends the two worlds a little bit better.
true.
Yeah.
What
True,
was
true.
that? What was that record? He did a record with Donnie Trumpet. Do you remember that?
Don't.
It
No.
was called Surf. Let me see here.
I
Yeah,
like the record he did with Joey Perp though, because I think Joey
yeah,
Perp is really ill too.
Joy
yeah.
Pump.
Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment. I think he was on there a bunch. I like that shit. But he was yeah, he's got some great stuff. It's just, you know, I try and root for everybody. But
Yeah,
that's um yeah, that's a good spread. I'm gonna check out the Mandala Brothers. I want
yeah,
to check out some.
it's a good one. It's a good one. I just got into today. I just got into the new Curious album.
Oh, that's a good
I
one.
mentioned MF Doom
Yeah.
earlier, but yeah, like the new Curious record is really good
Yep.
so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been enjoying it. The few things that I've heard today, like 5 or 6 songs, really good.
hmm Yeah, I've been into it. Been rocking that. Kay, what are you bumping?
Uh, the only thing new I'm bumping, I got the Steely Dan Asia.
Oh wow,
Okay.
cool. Going back.
Yeah,
Pulling up in the classics.
yeah. So I've just been listening to that. Lot of really interesting, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, man. No, it was a wild time. It was a wild time. Um, yeah, there's a Revelator in this weird way. Kind of reminds me of this one Harry Nilsson album.
Hmm.
Which
So
one?
the one everyone knows is Nielsen Schmilson, right?
Yeah. Is that the one
Nielsen,
he's in the robe on the
yes, yeah,
cover? Yeah.
yes. That is the one where he's a wild dude, right? He was
He
doing
is.
lots of cocaine, with lots of people,
Yeah.
doing lots of stuff, chicanery, But he had this producer who was very straight laced and kept him kind of in order. And so Nielsen Schmielsen is that back and forth. But he got really rich off Nielsen Schmielsen because it was great, and he fired that guy.
Mm,
First thing he did was fire that guy. Nope,
that's
no thank
terrible.
you.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so he did lots of cocaine and he did lots of shenanigans and he made Son of Schmielsen, which is fucking nuts. Uh Fucking crazy. Uh yeah, and there's a song on there that they sang at his funeral. You know, they just started a chant. I think it was George Harrison started like a stomp and chant singing it, and everybody
Mm.
started singing it. This is the last song, second to last song. But yeah, no, it's just a wild album full of all kinds of different shit. Beautiful shit, sarcastic shit, angry shit, uh, but all real to him and you know, great stuff. So
Tight. I've only heard the one, the first, the Nilsson Schmills. I've only heard that one. I haven't heard anything else. Now I kind of want to go back and take a listen.
there's also a great documentary, a Harry Nilsson documentary, like whatever happened to Harry Nilsson or something like that. It's really dope, uh,
Mm.
and made me dislike John Lennon a lot more than I did. Um, but yeah, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Tight, man. I like talking with y'all. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Kay.
It's
Yeah,
been
man.
fantastic, and thank you for the people who are tuning in to the Ka episode we did before he passed, that is now getting numbers. Uh, I didn't really speak a lot publicly on it because Ka just means a lot to me. And I didn't want to be one of those people, signifying in public like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of take it in privately. But yeah, he was dope. Uh, and it always meant a lot to me that he followed me after he read the article I wrote. Um, yeah, and I'll always rep the legacy. So, yeah, thank you for everybody
Yeah, man. Rest
finding
in peace,
finding
Kyle.
joy in that.
Rest
Oh,
in peace.
hearingthings.co. Subscribe to hearingthings.co. That is Dylan Green's new helmed journalist operation. Ryan Dumbrall, uh, Maggie. I'm gonna mess up all their names. Go to hearingthings.co. Great writing, great music writing. I already paid them a bunch of money and just subscribed. Like
Mhm.
they have a free option. I want to give money. We always complain about journalism and how journalism like sucks because it's owned by these gross corporations.
Mhm.
But if we don't want that, we've got to actually put some money in good ones happening. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We've got to create our own environment, you know? Uh, and so, you know, they're dialed in, they rock with everybody. So support that. Yep,
Yes.
absolutely. That's all I got. Uh, I don't have a catchphrase. Everybody, good night.
What